The final score, Lincoln City 0, Wrexham 2, and we complete the season with another league double. Double figures in league doubles, that's quite something, isn't it? And also, he hit the 90-point mark for the first time ever in the Football League, and that is including the seasons before you got 3 points for a win being converted, so that those ones are given 3 points for a win. And we set the club record for the most clean sheets in a season, and we set the record for the most league clean sheets in a season, and we set the record for the highest average attendance in our history in league matches. And we won promotion for the third time in a row. Yeah, it's okay, but let's hope we can improve next year, eh? Wow. I mean, this in many ways illustrated why we're going up. And my point in this is that we didn't dominate this game, but the second half we showed those qualities of a promotion side. Lincoln City finished mid-table, and there was a lot to enjoy in how they played. Easy to enjoy when you're already promoted, obviously. But Lincoln played very, very well, I thought, in the first half, and some of their passing and movement and their direct running and the pace of their attacking play down the flanks was impressive. But the quality wasn't good enough from them in the attacking third. I'm not trying to criticise them, but that's why they're mid-table. You could see they're heading in the right direction. But we are a promotion side, so when we took control of the game after the break, we took advantage and ended up feeling very comfortable when, ironically, in the first half, it didn't feel comfortable. So Wrexham having to make one change. Jay Rodriguez was injured, and so he was absent. Elliot Lee started off the main striker, and certainly the second half was a wonderful illustration of why that is an idea that Phil Parkinson has kept faith with throughout the season. Of course, a bumper crowd, including 1,200 fans, made the considerable cross-country trek to Lincolnshire, many of them in fancy dress. Fantastic occasion. I have just got to say, one of the highlights of the season, which my lad told me about because I wasn't there to see it, was the traffic cones in the away end. Leaving the ground afterwards, a delivery van came and they coned off the road in front of it so we couldn't get through. Now that is Wrexham. I love it. Anyway, on to the match. Wrexham, with that fabulous support who just didn't stop making noise throughout, didn't have an easy time of it. But again, to make my point clear of it's equality in the boxes that really matters, we're able to sustain pressure. We've seen that a lot over the last 2 seasons. When teams have come at us in the Football League, we've often been able to survive long periods holding them at arm's length. And this was a classic example of it because, I mean, we didn't have our first proper attack until the 29th minute. And it was Lincoln dominating play. Yet despite looking dangerous, very dangerous, despite their movement often finding space in our half, the truth of the matter is they only really had one attempt in that first 29 minutes that was really worthy of mentioning, and it didn't extend Arthur Okonkwo. Okonkwo had a lot of saves to make, but they were all easy saves from outside the box in this period. Lincoln got into some wonderful crossing positions, but they didn't tend to hit the targets. They had a shot after 14 seconds, Hamilton bursting through but not testing Okonkwo enough. There was a really good interception by Lewis Brunt in the 6th minute to prevent a good shooting opportunity. But like I said, the only real moment of danger in the first 29 minutes was when Erhan, who did well in midfield, fed a great ball down the left-hand side, which was touched on nicely into the path of Gardner. By Gardner into the path of Rowan. He pulled the ball back in. Collins, a striker, made a really poor miscontrol of it, but when the ball bounced back out, he was able to feed it back to Rowan, who pulled it across, and Gardner from the edge of the area hit a shot which was really well blocked by Dan Scarr. And the back three were terrific in this period. They just defended their box superbly. Scarr would make a number of really good blocks throughout the game, but all three of them showed why we've set this record for the most clean sheets kept. That chance we made in the 29th minute was a lovely move. Started off by Brunt. And I mean, Brunt has got so much potential, hasn't he? Long ball clearance, rather, by Lincoln, dropping on the halfway line in the centre circle. Brunt steps up to it. The confidence to even attempt what he does, never mind the technique to get it spot on, is brilliant. It's dropping for him. There's a player coming to put him under pressure. This is screaming out to just be put back where it came from and turn the defence. But oh no, Brunt takes a beautiful touch to bring it down on the half volley, just kills it in front of him, and then does what he does very well. He hits direct passes that split the lines and immediately feed players in good positions. This time he punches it to Lee. He helps it on quickly to Rathbone. Rathbone helps it on quickly to McLean. McLean rips in across. Smith attacks it, and about 10 yards out, level of the near post, the ball maybe arriving a little behind him, but he hooks his foot round it and makes contact with a lovely volley which just goes wide of the left post. It would have been a hell of a goal if it had gone in. Smith afterwards, I think, was shielding his eyes. The sun was behind the stands that McLean was running up and down, that flank, and I think the sun might have got in his eyes just as he was trying to put the finishing touch on. But anyway, the pattern continued. Lincoln looked good on the ball. Hamilton and Irwan was very lively. There was rotation between the front four. Hackett on the right looked very threatening. Its end product wasn't what it ought to have been, I felt. Gardner on the left, also threatening, and I felt a little bit more effective. I thought Collins, who was done well for them, wasn't really getting much luck when it came to actually making things happen in the box. Their wing backs, Dwarika and Rowan, were getting forwards too, and we were having to work extremely hard without the ball, which of course the likes of Rathbone, Dobson and James did. And the centre backs, and James in particular, I thought really were very, very good, despite not being able to get a grip on the game. They did a really good job. There was a moment of danger just before the break. Again, Aaron doing well to stand with a good run. He finds Hackett, who drives forwards, hits a shot. Okonkwo is able to save it first, and as it ricochets out, comes out brilliantly to grab the ball at the feet of Gardner. And then another moment of danger comes when Collins lays it off beautifully. And there's a lovely play by Collins, who I was just criticising. Lays it off beautifully. Nice little touch. Rowan pops it back to Collins as he drives forwards. Another great touch by Collins. Flicks out wide to Gardner. Gardner keeps this lovely fluent move going. Pops it back to Collins. Collins drills the shot in, but Okonkwo is able to hold on to it. And that's it for the half. And there are some stats here which I think tell you a lot about, well, illustrate my point. Successful crosses for Lincoln, 4 out of 18. The only one, I suppose I should have mentioned, Rowan puts in a good ball from deep, and Collins makes a great run between two centre-backs, but then completely misjudges his header from 15 yards and actually heads it down onto his legs, and it just dribbles towards goal. But only 4 out of 18 tells you a lot. Wrexham made 8 interceptions, 23 clearances, so one every other minute, and 13 headed clearances, which tells you that Lincoln weren't effective in the attacking third. Also tells you that Wrexham defended extremely well. 8 shots on target for Lincoln. 8 shots on goal, but only a couple on target. I'm going to get that wrong. I think Wrexham had 2 on target. But anyway, the truth of the matter is Lincoln had a lot of the game, but Wrexham would show in the second half how to take advantage when you get a grip on the game. Phil Parkinson, interesting. I didn't notice they did say we were playing against the wind in the first half and it affected us. Certainly the second half was very different. We were sharp, snappy, and playing with the confidence of a team that is on a long unbeaten run, has really stepped up to the plate when required, and is already promoted. And there was some great football from Wrexham in the second half, as well as just being like I said, efficient in terms of chance taking. And within the first minute of the half, we had a real chance. Rathbone doing well, picking out Longman on the right, and it was then nice work by him, cutting inside, drilling in a shot, a good block to deny his shot, but the ball ricochets out still in the first minute of the half. McLean helps it into the box, down the line, protecting it really nicely, and feeds Smith. Smith puts in a beautifully struck dainty chip to the far post, and Longman, having had that one shot, follows in. Really nice run, just looks like he may be going outside of his marker, but then comes inside and the marker's lost him. Good diving header, terrific block in front of the goalkeeper to stop us from opening the scoring then. Longman will get his moment, of course. To be fair to Lincoln, they do pick up where they left off after that and have a good couple of minutes which could have led to a goal. Firstly, Rowan again sweeping across to the far post. Hackett stretching after it but just can't reach it. And then a minute later, the biggest chance that they have in the game. Hackett pulling the ball back well. Hamilton unmarked around the penalty spot. A glorious opportunity, but he doesn't hit it well, and Cleworth blocks it. Like I say, doesn't hit it well, and it looks like it's probably going wide as well, but it's a heck of an opportunity for Lincoln. And it's kind of the end of that for Lincoln now. They don't take that chance, and kind of sums things up. And 4 minutes later, they're behind, and the game, even though it's only 1-0, kind of feels over, because Wrexham now are starting to really show some quality. Brunt again, the starting point with a forwards pass, finds Elliot Lee between the lines. I mean, like I said, so often you see a lovely illustration of why Parkinson wanted Lee to play off the striker, and this was it. He drops deep. Centre-backs don't want to come up to the halfway line to pick him up when they're holding the line about 30 yards out. So they're standing there. You've got 4 players and marking Smith. And we have an overload which we take advantage of. Our centre mid start to come forwards and drag the centre mids. Lee has received the ball between those lines, and he can turn, helps it on to Longman. Longman does a Longman thing. He takes on his man, beats him, stands a lovely cross in, and Lee is completely unmarked. He's just received the ball in space. Nobody's had a chance to pick him up because he's moved it on quickly, and then nobody's bothered to pick him up, and he's just made a run in towards the penalty spot and then met it. Lovely delivery with a great header. It's got to be said, if you break it down, look at it again, break it down from Lincoln's point of view, it's very, very ugly, but it's because we've outmanoeuvred them. Smith, by the way, is lurking behind Lee. He actually moves his head because it's such an inviting cross that if Lee's not getting there, Smith's going to get a header on goal. And he has lost his man because Hamer's ball watching. So he's there looking across, and Smith has stepped off and gained himself about 3, 4, 5 yards. So he would have had a free header if Lee hadn't scored. So yeah, we really opened them up. And it was impressive and clinical, and it could easily, within 2 minutes, have been 2-0 because we, right from the restart, get right back at them. Dobson doing well, works it out to Longman once more, and he pulls the ball back in the goal mouth. A massive interception with Lee just waiting and Mark to knock in another goal. That headed goal, by the way, of course, gives him his 9th of the season, which means he's top scorer. Very unusual, isn't it, really, for a team to not have a scorer in double figures and go up. But we've had, another 3 on 8, to be fair. Within another minute, we have another opportunity. Again, Lee looking effervescent, getting the ball on the left after a spell of pressure, which included that ball being intercepted in the goal mouth. It comes out to him. He pulls off the most beautiful 360 turn to leave his marker absolutely with no idea where Lee is, and then Lee stands the ball up nicely, and Cleworth just can't quite get over his marker enough to get a proper solid contact on his header from about 8 yards out. It goes wide, and he's holding his head in his hands as Cleworth feels it. If he'd just been able to get a little run on his man, he probably would have got a powerful header on target. We continue to push on really hard as well. Longman on the right, driving in and feeding Smith, who from a tight angle has a shot. I mean, it's an almost impossible angle, although to be fair, as you'll see later on with another incident, Weekins, the keeper, is good. He's very committed to the big handball goalkeeper, spreading yourself starfish approach to blocking shots. And so actually when you look at it, you think, well, maybe Smith's being very clever as well, shooting from that really tight angle. Because if he drills it really low, there's always a chance, like Kieran Durkin at Old Trafford hitting the ball under Peter Schmeichel, that he might actually score from that virtually impossible angle. Also, he did the right thing because we caught Lincoln out, but nobody therefore had been able to keep up with Smith. The closest player to keeping up with him was Longman, who follows in his pass from the wing. So he's a long way away from Smith, and he's the closest one trying to sprint in, looking for a rebound, basically. So yeah, Weekins is able to parry that. A couple of minutes later again, Wrexham, nice combination play. Rathbone winning the ball on the left, prodding a really good square pass over a lot of distance to Lee, who pings it straight back to him. Rathbone cuts inside, looking threatening, gets to the edge of the area, doesn't get hold of his shot. He's really annoyed at himself. It's a bit weak, it's a bit straight, and a simple save for Vikings. But the goal's coming, and within a minute of that chance, it does come as we get our second goal in 8 minutes. And again, Brunt does really well. Great interception. Feeds it on to McLean, and then McLean, oh yes, McLean plays a nice 1-2 with Lee. Now we're pouring forwards at this point. McLean helps it on, and Longman, driving down the right channel, receives it in front of him. All the passing is really progressive, and Longman with a lovely crisp finish, like an expensive Riesling, just slots it calmly first time past the keeper, and he has his first goal of the season. I don't like players taking their shirts off in celebration. I think it's a really cheap yellow card. But on the last day of the season, I'm gonna call Longman's celebration, helicoptering his shirt over his head, iconic rather than a daft yellow, because I have a funny feeling he's not going to be suspended for the next match as they get wiped out in the summer. So yeah, Wrexham 2-0 up, and it kind of cruising at this point. And I don't want to sound patronising to Lincoln. They keep going actually, and to be fair, they have their best spell of the second half as the game's coming to a conclusion, but there's no huge threat, not least because you just get the feeling that Wrexham are on top of things defensively. They make 5 substitutions quite early on in the half, trying to shift things around. I thought the substitutes made a good impact as well, and they had a chance as well when Hackett puts the ball in, which is deflected to Moylan, but his shot is really well blocked again by Dan Scarr. Moylan was quite lively, and he has another opportunity when McGrandles, another of the subs, carries it forwards and feeds Moylan in the left channel, but he hits it at the near post, and Okonkwo is able to save it. Wrexham have a chance as well later on, which was a proper chance too. We make 3 substitutions. 72nd minute, Fletcher comes on for Elliot Lee, and Ryan Barnett comes on for Ryan Longman. So 2 scorers come off. 3 minutes later, Rathbone, who got clattered. I've got to say, having praised Lincoln, there was a point around this time where it looked like they could cut up nasty. There were a few feet left in. It was naughty. The ref, I think, could have been a bit stronger. And Rathbone takes a nasty whack, so hopefully he's all right. He gets treatment. He comes off soon afterwards. Tom O'Connor coming on in midfield, and well, both Fletcher and O'Connor will go very close. Okonkwo first with a long kick, and it's helped on initially by Dobson. Good ball to Fletcher, punched into him, and Fletcher, lovely little touch on the turn, and rips a shot from the edge of the area across the keeper, and he gets down well low to his right to make the save. 5 minutes left, Marriott comes on to give Sam Smith an ovation at the end of his season. Within a minute, Fletcher nearly scores again. This is close. Okonkwo with a big kick. Marriott does ever so well. It's him against Paudie O'Connor. He was a really good, strong centre-back and had a good game. And Marriott engages with him, and essentially he's got no chance against him in the air, but he is so much of a nuisance that he forces O'Connor off balance and he can't win it. It bounces through. Fletcher does brilliantly to anticipate, sprints in behind his marker. He's one-on-one with Vikins right down the middle in the box. Vikins, like I said, likes the big starfish, and it serves him really well on this occasion because he's off his line very quickly and he's right in Fletcher's face. So Fletcher has to take it first time because it's bouncing away from him, and Vikins is able to block it with his chest. And when Fletcher gets back to it, he feeds it back to O'Connor. Big chance for the substitutes. He's just inside the box, but he can't hit the target, but Viken's not yet back in position because, to be fair, the defender gets right in the line, and so O'Connor has to try and lift it over him, and it doesn't come back down in time, goes over the bar. There is one last chance for Lincoln in the second minute of added time. Moylan with a free kick on the edge of the D, and he drills it in a great contact. Just skims the bar. It's a really good hit. He's unlucky, although it must be said, I mean, if you want an indication of how good Arthur Okonkwo is, he looks like he may have it covered. And this is a drilled, skimmed free kick from the edge of the tee, but he manages to get across for onto the wall side, and it looks like he may well have had it covered. That's a decent goalkeeper. That is fair play. So, Wrexham win 2-0. Another lovely celebration with those fantastic fans, and we all go off into the night to block off delivery vans or whatever we chose to do in celebration. Looking at the performances, well, Okonkwo just class. I mean, didn't have to make any really difficult saves as such, but handled everything with ease. Confidence is always in the air. He's been magnificent since he arrived, but at the end of this season, he really has, in particular, given off a terrific sense of security. You know, he's just, balls come in the box and he's just coming, and you just, okay, well, that's the end of our attack. He is excellent. The back three were also absolutely superb. Cleworth once more, just excelling and breaking things up and dealing with physical challenges and covering to allow Longman to get up the pitch. Likewise, Brunt covering to let McLean come up the pitch, and like I've said as well, quite apart from his terrific prowess defensively, once again his progressive passing tees up so many opportunities and attacks. Scar was just tremendous in the heart of the defence, just battling for everything. The three of them were all fabulous. On the flanks, Longman was excellent, a real threat, especially in the second half. Didn't really get any crosses in the first. He had to do a lot more defending, and they worked very hard down that left-hand side, where Rowan likes to overlap with Gardner. But in the second half, he gave Lincoln so many problems. Assist and a goal. He was excellent. McLean likewise on the left-hand side, just that typical directness about him. Hackett was a handful, but didn't really get much into the box to punish us, and McLean coming forwards was effective, often as a continuity player, protecting possession, winning loose balls and keeping attacks going. I thought Matty James was excellent throughout. The three midfielders also did very well. James, again, with that measured control of his use of the ball and his reading of situations was very good. Rathbone full of that verve and vim and love of the game as he chases everything down, but then that quality on the ball too. Dobson played some good passes as well and put in a proper shift. Huge credit to Lee, who I think illustrated very nicely, like I said, how you play between the lines, constantly finding up space, an excellent bridge between midfield and Smith, and got that goal. It was releasing the ball early, which I think is always a sign that Elliot Lee's enjoying himself, rather than carrying it. Sometimes maybe carrying it and then it gives people a chance to get back, just moving it quickly on and hurting teams with the accuracy and progressiveness of his passing. And the subs did well. Barnett beat his man a few times and looked threatening. O'Connor came in, and it was quite nice seeing him in midfield. I like watching him. He's so smooth in the way he covers the ground. Tidy little cameo by O. Beckenbauer. Up front, Fletcher caused issues and could easily have had a couple of goals. Marriott didn't get much time, but he was buzzing about eagerly. And all in all, it's a rather nice way to round off the season. So, fantastic stuff. I've got to say, the thought that occurred to me as well on Saturday. Oh no, I'll leave that till Final Whistle Weekly this Wednesday. This isn't a cunning ploy to make you watch. I just suddenly thought, that's a conversation thing rather than the match day thing for this. Let's just leave it with this. Wrexham are in the Championship. That's not normal. But I feel like we need to embrace this new normal, don't we? It's been a brilliant season. We'll keep churning stuff out over the summer. We're not going to leave you on your own. We need your Wrexham fix. But I've just got to say what a pleasure it's been to be attending the games and giving you rundowns of them, and I hope I've been of use It's been an absolute blast, everybody. Let's get it all started up again in August, shall we? With a final score of Lincoln City 0, Wrexham 2, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.